Tusks. When the Tusk owner decided they didn't want her, they abandoned her without turning her over to an animal shelter. Instead, they left her to be with herself. Animal neglect is a serious issue that many organizations like the RSPCA are working tirelessly to combat. Tusks are one recent example of an animal in urgent need of care and attention. After years of misuse, her fur was matted and teeth had grown halfway down her face. When these staffers at the shelter first set eyes on poor Tusks, their hearts went out to her, as they knew she was in a lot of pain and probably not coping well from the looks of it. She was in a horrific state. They couldn't speculate on what her life had been like before ending up there. Her teeth were so overgrown and tangled in matted fur, which meant eating was a hugely difficult challenge for her. In addition to this, her back end was so bad that they were unable to confirm if she was a boy or a girl for a few days due to swelling and infection. The staff nicknamed her Tusks due to her buck teeth measuring an incredible 4 centimeters. Almost as soon as she arrived at the RSPCA, Tusks underwent a dent-up procedure to fix her teeth and was also given some much-needed grooming for her matted fur. Misalignment and subsequent overgrowth of incisor teeth are a fairly common problem encountered in rabbits, rats, and guinea pigs. Their teeth are very different from people, dogs, or cats in that they grow continuously throughout their life. The teeth are capped at an appropriate length when they grind against the opposing teeth on the other side. If the opposing teeth don't matter correctly, they grow past each other and start poking into the roof of the mouth, the opposing gums, or other sensitive tissue. Understandably, that not only causes mechanical difficulty in getting food into the mouth and chewing, it also causes pain and infection. Misaligned incisors occur either as a genetic malformation of the jaw, usually the upper jaw that keeps the teeth from meeting appropriately, or as a result of infection or injury that causes the teeth to shift position. Affected animals will require some sort of treatment in order to survive, but it looks as though this patient has not had a diet with enough fiber in it to wear them down, and as a result, her long tooth could be inhibiting her ability to eat. Longer teeth need to be trimmed with special scissors that will not crack them. The procedure is carried out by trained professionals because the teeth are brittle and, in this case, they were weaker than normal due to the abnormality, so it could have cracked easier. The natural grinding action that takes place when a rabbit chews fibrous plants normally wears the teeth down enough so that they're kept at an ideal length despite continuously growing. However, pet rabbits often need to have their teeth manually cut due to a number of health, environmental, and genetic factors. While many of your rabbit's teeth can get too long, the incisors are the easiest to identify when they become overgrown. They're capable of growing so long that they can begin to curl up and stick out between your rabbit's lips. This is a problem because they may get stuck on things like cage bars, or worse yet, grow into your rabbit's gums or through the roof of its mouth. Tusks seemed to feel better and perked up almost immediately, and she was suddenly so much more comfortable and is now loving life in her foster home. Tusks is a sweet girl, and through no fault of her own, her owner no longer wanted her and had left her teeth and fur unattended as a result. She is happy and healthy now. Tusks is just one example of how badly overgrown a rabbit's teeth can become, but it is important for all owners to be checking their rabbit's teeth at least weekly to ensure they aren't overgrown or misaligned. Sadly, rabbits are one of the nation's most misunderstood animals. Lots of rabbits are still kept in small hutches without access to an area in which to exercise. Many rabbits are housed alone instead of pairs, then not all are having their nutritional needs met. To avoid a rabbit's teeth becoming overgrown, it's important to give them unlimited access to hay, as it helps to wear down their teeth and keep them at the correct length and shape. Well-meaning owners think they're doing the right thing by buying muesli-based rabbit food. But what rabbits actually need is a diet that is made up. She is happy and healthy now. Well-meaning owners think they're doing the right thing by buying muesli-based rabbit food. But what rabbits actually need is a diet that is made up primarily of hay or grass. Feeding them mutually styled diets can increase the risks, rabbits suffering from dental disease and other health problems. The top 2 teeth should overlap the bottom 2 teeth. This way, as the rabbit chews hay, wood, bark, pellets, carrots, toys, or your furniture, the teeth wear each other down evenly. In addition to those front teeth, rabbits have 2 more teeth called peg teeth directly behind the two upper incisors and a full set of molars in the back of the jaw, which they can use to aid their high-fiber food. Rabbits can make wonderful additions to a family, and the RSPCA hopes to continue to raise awareness about how to properly care for them, so that Tusks and many other rabbits can go on to find incredible forever homes. Jane Talbot. Jane Talbot lives on a ranch in rural Alberta, Canada, miles from the nearest town, but she's far from all alone. A host of animals, both domestics and wild, live on her property, and she knows that being a good neighbor means looking out for them too. In June 2018, Janet was doing some yard work on a beautiful Alberta ranch, enjoying the sight of a squirrel having a snack in one of her open bird feeders. Several local squirrels frequent the spot. Janet is more than happy to have them, but then she saw that there was something unusual about this particular visitor. She noticed a small squirrel eating from her finch's bird feeder. Janet could tell the squirrel was struggling and noticed something strange sticking out from its head. She could see there was something on the side of his face. As she got closer, she was shocked to discover what it was. Janet found a massive tooth growing out of his mouth. She realized the poor squirrel was unable to eat his normal diet of nuts and bark because his teeth were so long and overgrown. His four incisors were even curling backwards into his mouth. Squirrels have four incisors that continuously grow, but normally their teeth are ground down by their diet of nuts and tree bark. Somehow Bucky's tooth had grown long enough to reach his eye and was putting his life at risk. Janet decided that she had to at least try to help him. His mouth was an absolute mess. His upper incisors were curled around and growing inside his mouth. When he ate, his teeth were rubbing on his face. Janet figured out that the squirrel was born with an irregular bite and could only manage to eat the finch's bird food. His life was at risk because he wasn't able to close his mouth or chew his food. Knowing that his lifespan would be much shorter if he couldn't close his mouth or chew his food, Janet decided to bring the squirrel inside using her leather guarding gloves. She brought him inside and named him Bucky. Janet considered taking Bucky to a vet in town, but worried he'd be seen as a lost cause. So she studied up on what she could do herself to help. She watched YouTube videos to learn how to trim a squirrel tooth, wrapped him in a towel, and got to work on the delicate procedure. Janet has been helping animals ever since she was a little girl. If she ever saw an animal in need, no matter the species, she would bring it home to care for it, and after wrapping him in a towel, Janet was able to get an even closer look at her new dental patient. Bucky's top two incisors were so long and curly, they nearly pierced him right in the eyes. Janet got her cubicle trimers out. She wanted to have him nice and calm, so she let him relax for a bit. The process took under 10 minutes. He was totally relaxed the whole time. It was kind of serious dentistry, albeit DIY, but he was such a good patient and calm and collected throughout. It got her wondering if maybe animals can sense when you're helping them. Do you think so? Since squirrels don't have nerve endings in their incisors, Bucky didn't feel much pain. Before releasing Bucky back into the wild, Janet used a standard cuticle trimmer to trim his Bucky's except for any long teeth. Janet thinks Bucky was barely surviving on crushed and shelled sunflower seeds. However, when she released him the next day with this new set of trumpers, she was delighted to find him back in the feeder with the most amazing little squirrel smile on his face. He was just so happy and was even able to now eat whole peanuts. She watched as little Bucky scurried up the tree and was able to rub his cheeks on it for the first time. It was like he couldn't believe those teeth were gone. He just kept rubbing his face. Janet then watched on as a proud mother as he sharpened his newly trimmed incisors on a tree branch. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it keeps him worn down. Janet expected that Bucky might venture on his way now that he could live a more normal life, but he's apparently chosen to stick around on a property. Knowing it's possible for Bucky's teeth to regrow again improperly, Janet is more than happy to keep a beady eye on him and help him again when the moment arises. Squirrels' teeth never stop growing, but they are normally kept in check from use, and just like that, Bucky was back to normal and he looked quite relieved. Fortunately, aside from the tooth problem, he appeared to be in good shape. This whole experience was no doubt a bit perplexing for Bucky. He is after all a wild squirrel, and trips to the dentist aren't something most folks look forward to. However, he seemed to realize that it was all worthwhile. Janet's simple act of kindness changed everything for Bucky. She could have easily done nothing, letting nature take its course. However, being kind is in her nature, and she felt duty-bound to answer that call. We share the planet with animals. If there's an animal in need that comes across Janet's radar, she wouldn't think twice because there's no better feeling than helping an animal. She hopes that what she did will inspire someone else to help an animal in need. What have you done to help an animal in need? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time.